Hello everyone, it's Christine from Christine's Stamping Spot. Thank you for joining me again this Monday morning for another Mystery Monday video. So today we're going to be taking a look at the Arctic Bears stamp set and dies. This is also in our mini and you can find it on page 39. So this is the set and it comes with some coordinating dies, so you can purchase the stamp set and dies as a bundle. So it has some great little samples in it, and it doesn't just have to be used, you can use it for multiple occasions. So I'm going to turn our card today into a Christmas card. But you can do it. There's lots of different greetings in here. Thank you, thinking of you, all sorts of different ones. So I wanted to give this a try. And I also wanted to show you a new technique. So first of all, I'm just going to show you these dies here. So this is how they come. You've got the big polar bear, small one, and then another outline of one, and some other different images. And then there are 11 stamps in this stamp set, so pretty good value. Okay, so the card we are going to do is this one, similar to this one. And the technique I want to do is a Northern Lights technique. And the reason I thought of this was this past week, I think it was on Thanksgiving Monday actually, we had some spectacular northern lights in our area and we were able to see them right from our driveway. And they went from northern Alberta to southern Alberta to Vancouver to different areas in our country, and really, really bright. And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to try to do this with our polar bear stamp set. And this was my very, very first attempt. So we're going to try it again, and every time I think you're going to do this, you're going to get a different result, and you can certainly use different colors in it. The Northern Lights we see here are pretty much a bright green, sometimes a hint of pink or purple, sometimes the bright blues, but definitely up north they're really spectacular, so always a treat when we see them. Okay, enough blabbering. I am going to get started on this card. So for our base, we are going to use Misty Moonlight. So this is 8.5 by 5.5. And we are just going to set this aside for a minute while we work on our Northern Lights. Okay, so for that, I just took a piece of basic white, 5.25 by 4. Another great option, I think, which I think I'm going to try at some point, is to use our shimmery white paper. That has a bit of a sparkle, kind of very subtle sparkle to it. And I think if you hold that up to the light with the Northern Lights, that would be really, really cool. But for today, I'm just going to do this basic white. So the colors that I'm using in the Northern Lights, so I am going to use our blending brushes. And so I'm going to start with Granny Apple Green because I think it's one of our brighter greens. And I'm just going to ink up my blending brush. And I'm going to turn my paper, just whatever's comfortable for you. I'm going to do it kind of at an angle. But to start, you're just going to go off, and in the center, you're just going to go sort of in a vertical up and down motion. And a little bit, you can do a few circles, but you don't want a lot of those circle marks to show. So try to keep it more vertical when you start. Okay, and we can always add more. So I'm just going to start with that. And then I'm going to go to Coastal Cabana. I love this color at the best of times. So we are going to add some Coastal Cabana on each side of this green. And again, just sort of go up and down. And as light or as dark as you like, and you can kind of blend it in with that Granny Apple Green. horizontal too. Okay. So then let's go on the other side. And like I say, you could certainly, you know, switch up your colors if you just wanted to do the bright greens. You could do that, or you could add, you know, a lot more pinks or purples to them. I think if you just kind of Google Northern Lights, you'll probably get a great array of colors that you could use. Okay, I'm just going to go a little bit more to the edge. Add a little bit more over here. Now take your time with this, like don't rush. Make sure that you get kind of the color palette that you're looking for. I'm just gonna go even a little bit more with this Coastal Cabana. My pad isn't, I should probably re-ink it. That's probably what's taking me a little bit longer here today, but that's okay, we have time. Okay, so let's start with that. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of Highland Heather. Now I thought the Gorgeous Grape would be too dark, so we're gonna add just a little bit of Highland Heather just to see if we can get a little bit of pinks or purples going in here. And I suppose you could always try maybe our Freesia. I don't know if that would be too light, but... And then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take this and I'm just gonna kind of, because I know the Northern Lights kind of dance, right? So, or they can. So I'm wondering if this darker color, and maybe I will try it with a sponge because it's a little bit coarser, and just kind of go over it a little bit just to see. And I might need a darker color, but you just kind of want to see if you can get a few streaks in there. Okay, so that didn't streak too much, but we're going to add one more color. And that is the Misty Moonlight. So we're going to add a little bit of this around the edge. And I'm not too worried about how far I go down because that's going to get kind of covered. And this is where maybe this will work a little better for streaks. And if it doesn't, that's okay. Might be something that needs a little bit of practice. I don't know. Let's try it with a sponge here. I don't want to add a lot of color, but I want to kind of get a bit of a streaking effect. Okay, that's not too bad. Okay, so then I'm going to add, oops, that was a little bit dark. And I got my circle for my brush, so I don't know if we can blend that out, but if not, that's okay. So I am going to put some horizontally here because, as my husband said, you should have a little bit of the horizon between the Northern Lights and the bottom. So I'm just going to add some Misty Moonlight. You could use Night of Navy though. That's a great blue to use as well. And I'm just gonna see if this is high enough. So the piece that we're gonna put on the bottom for our water, I cut from Balmy Blue, and I cut that at 5 1/4 by 1 1/2, I believe. I will post the measurements. So that actually is okay because now I have this darker blue in between. Okay, so I think I'll leave that, but I'm gonna add a little bit more, maybe our Granny Apple Green, let's see, or blue, that might be good too. Just to darken up this edge a little bit. Okay, that's not too bad. And then you've got kind of this blue over here. Maybe I will try some more Coastal Cabana. So like I say, it's just like trial and error as to what colors you like, first of all, and then trying to get them to sort of look like you want. So that's actually not too bad. I think I'll go with that. Well, maybe one more thing I will do is a teeny bit of Misty Moonlight here at the top. Now you are probably going to get your fingers pretty inky. So let's just add a little bit here at the top, just to kind of look a little more like a northern sky up here. Just a little bit of something. And you can kind of see some streaks, I think. That's not too bad, actually. Okay, so I'm going to leave it. If I play too much more, I'm probably going to mess it up. All right, now I do have inky fingers. I'm just going to wipe those off quickly before I touch any more white cardstock. Okay, so I'm just going to close up these pads so I don't make a mess. And get ink everywhere else. Oops, and I did on my blending brush. I find also if you rinse these blending brushes off fairly quickly after you've used them, they don't always stain really badly. You might have a touch of the color on it, but it tends to kind of wash off, not too bad. Okay, so let's carry on. So we're going to add our water down here. So let's just add this right to the bottom of the white. Okay, so that's starting to look a little more like a sky. And then I cut with that die. Now I don't know if you can see this. This is a window sheet. And I used that die from the Polar Bear dies. And I wanted something to look kind of like ice a little bit on the water. And in my sample here, I actually tried adding some Wink of Stella to this window sheet, but I don't really know if I like that so much. So I'm just going to leave this one plain, and I'm just going to add this with some Tombow glue. Now you don't need a lot, and it will dry clear, so hopefully we won't see a lot of this. So let's just add a little bit of Tombow on here. Your fingers will get sticky. I suppose you could try a window sheet or adhesive sheet on the back of a window sheet. I'm assuming that would go on clear as well because it is a little finicky. But as long as you've got, you know, some on there, it'll get tacked down. So, okay, so I'm gonna put this towards the bottom, kind of. So just give it a little push down, and that will dry. So I'm just gonna tap it a little bit and leave it there. Okay, so now we're going to add our iceberg. So this is another die, and there is a little bit of dimension in here, if you can see. These don't pop out, they're just meant to give it a little bit of, like I say, dimension to the iceberg or the flow. So I'm gonna pop this up with some dimensionals. So I think I'll use maybe 3 large and 1 mini. And we will make this sort of pop up a little bit. So I'm going to cover some of the ice, and then I'm going to just sort of put this towards the top of the water, like so. And then we can add our polar bears. So he's pretty cute. He's got some dimension on him too, and it even sort of puts a little indent for his eye and his ear and his nose. So that's really kind of cool. So I'm going to use minis on him. And I know his legs. Now maybe I will use, because a mini is actually too big to put on his legs. So I think I'm just going to maybe put a glue dot, and maybe that will help raise the legs a little bit, or at least tack them down so they're not flopping. So I'll just put a couple of these on. Just take your pick tool, it's great for this. Just gets them right in there where you need them to be. Okay. All right, so let's put our polar bear on. Now I'm gonna put him kind of maybe at an angle, like he's walking. Okay, like so. I wonder if I should have put up another dimensional under here. He's kind of, I wonder if I should have just used a big one. Maybe I can just add a big one. Oh my goodness, decision time. It's always, I'm just gonna put a big one in the middle and see what happens. Okay, so I'll pop him up kind of here. Yeah, I guess he's gonna, well, that's okay. We'll leave them like that. Okay, and then I'm going to add a northern star. So this I cut out of the Stitched Stars dies. Now you guys, you should see how many stars you get with these dies. These are from the large annual catalog, and there's some great little swirly stars you could use for birthdays, graduations, congratulations, but look at all these layers of stars you have, and even some other jewels or ice things. I mean, if you're doing Christmas cards with stars, these dies are for you, and they have all kinds of little individual ones. I believe I just used this little guy here, but these are fantastic if you want or need stars. And this, because it was so detailed, I put it on an adhesive sheet because I thought, how am I going to get glue on there? So I'm just going to put this up here so our little polar bear is following the star. Okay. So now I think I will put this on our base. So I guess I could have put this on before I attached our polar bear, but that's okay. So put it on like this. And I think this Misty Moonlight gives a nice illusion of night as well. Moonlight, I guess, is in its name. And then our greetings. So I stamped this one out of the Peaceful Deer stamp set. It was Sending Love and Peace this season. And then I cut it out with the Tasteful Label dies. I stamped it in the Misty Moonlight as well. And then I'm just going to pop this up with a couple of dimensionals. I mean, you could stamp right on there as well if you didn't want to use a die to cut it out. Or if you had a punch, an old circle punch or something, that's good too. I just kind of like the look of these Tasteful Label circles. Okay, so I'm just going to pop this up here. And then last, I'm just going to add a little rhinestone. A little rhinestone jewel, just to add a little more bling. I guess you could put one up here too, but I'll just leave one for now. You can always add another one if you want. And there you go. There is your Northern Lights Arctic Bear. So I hope you can see the window sheet and that it kind of looks like ice on the water. And our Northern Lights technique. So I hope that looks like Northern Lights. Maybe leave me a comment below and let me know if you think it does. and try playing with this technique because it's really fun, and you could use a whole bunch of different stamp sets, trees or buildings, cabin, or a beautiful cabin, winter cabin stamp set and dies. That would be nice to have like northern lights behind it or a nice forest of trees. So I think I'm going to play with this a little bit more and see what other ideas we can come up with. But I hope you enjoyed that project. And I do have a host code for October. SQ2KTQ4M. You can use that at checkout at my online store on my website, christineludwig.stampinup.net. You can also follow me Facebook and Pinterest, Christine Stamping Spot. And as of this week, I also launched my YouTube channel. So it is also called Christine Stamping Spot. So I'd love it if you could subscribe to my channel. It is free to subscribe. And I'm constantly going to be working on that channel, updating it with new videos and projects and etc. So I hope you'll check it out. All right, so I hope you have a wonderful week, and we will see you next time. Bye for now.